I'm Marie Young, and this is Conscious Leadership Conversations. And today I am with an Enneagram Type 3, Tony Gottschalk. And Tony is a healthcare and biotech executive. Welcome, Tony.
Thanks, Marie. It's good to be here with you.
Good to be here with you. Tony, you've been working with Type 3 for a number of years now. And tell me what to identify with in the 3.
Yeah. So I think the elements of the 3 that sort of speak to me and resonate with me are the constant drive and ambition in my professional life. I've always been very driven, very focused. And, my approach to work is different now that I'm a little older and I have children and we've been working together in this coaching. So I'm much more conscious of these things, but I compare and contrast myself to my former self, years ago, where this type of drive, I was a workaholic and, I prioritized work over everything, over relationships, over sleep, over all kinds. And I'm not that intense anymore about it, but I still have these qualities. I still have these elements. It's part of my operating system. And it feels sort of like home, like it's comfortable to me. I identify with that. So I'm very into my career, very achievement oriented. And, there's good and bad with that, as we talk about all the time. And we can discuss some of those different aspects. But that's that's the first thing that comes to mind when I think about a 3 and like what that means to me.
Mm-hmm. Yes, 3s are known as being very, very driven. And it's about this image of success.
Yeah. Yeah. Part of it is internally driven. I really want to be the best. Always have been at everything that I touch, everything that I do. But part of it is also as I crave that sort of external validation, that view, how I'm seen by others. That's the persona that I value, that I want to create. So it's both of those things. It's both internal.
Yes. And to get to that level, which you just talked about, and see that it is the outer validation that you're craving and that you really identify a lot with.
Yeah.
And how has that journey been for you to take it more for an inner validation?
Yeah, I think on my journey, I've really worked hard at cultivating that sort of leadership from within, my self-value coming from within, as opposed to from external sources or from external people. And it's been healthy transformation for me. It's been good because we want to lead from within. We don't want to, be at the behest of other people's opinions or I don't want to sort of let that be my sort of driving motivation. So it's there. It's part of me. I accept it, but I really focused over the past several years on, my inner desires, my inner motivation, what's meaningful to me, not necessarily what's going to look good, to the outside world, but so I've really worked on sort of bringing that back, internally. And I think so much of it, the key to some of my success and where I still struggle is in really connecting with my inner feelings. That's always been a challenge for me. I didn't.
Yes. The threes are they're the center of the heart-centered types, the 2, 3, and 4, and being the center of that, there's a little bit more difficulty accessing those feelings. So what gets you into your feelings, into your heart more than anything?
It doesn't necessarily come natural to me. I have to work at it. I have to really consciously sort of put my mind in that place to connect with my feelings. How am I feeling? How do I interpret something that's in front of me or that's happening around me? Some people it comes really easy. My wife is a good example. She's so effortless and graceful and elegant at connecting with her feelings, and she's so articulate about expressing how she feels. For me, it's work. I really have to concentrate on it. I have to really kind of,
Hmm.
get quiet, physically, uh, literally get quiet and just tap into how do I feel about something. It could be a topic, it could be a book, it could be something at work, it could be whatever. But I really have to pause. I have to focus on that.
Yeah, that
And good things
pause.
happen, when I do that. But I do. It's a constant reminder because it's not necessarily my default. You know, to get in
Right,
touch with my
right.
inner feelings. Like I'm one of those people. I just wasn't raised with that kind of in that environment, and so it's something that the older I get, I think the more I learn and the better at it I become.
Mhm.
But it's so essential. You know.
Yes, and you hit on a good point. It's not only your Enneagram type, that it's also how you're raised too, which entrenches those habitual patterns. And
Right.
for the three, it's looking good, being successful, and tamping those feelings down in the sacrifice of performance.
Right. 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 Um, so yeah, it's a combination of nature and nurture. I've sort of examined this. Where does it come from? Where did I learn this? And of course, it comes from your childhood and your parents and how you were raised and all your experiences. But I also see a little bit of this in my children. So it's there's an element there that gets passed along, and
Ah, yes. So
yeah.
say more about that. You're seeing yourself maybe through one or more of your kids.
I think so. Yeah, just observing. I have two young kids, and I watch them grow and develop, and I see how they've evolved over time. And they're great kids. They're happy and healthy and thriving. But um, especially my oldest one, she's got a lot of similar characteristics and traits that I have, my father
Mm-hmm.
had, where
Yes.
getting in touch with your feelings and being able to articulate and express those feelings,
Mm-hmm.
it's doesn't necessarily come naturally. You have to consciously work at it. And I've experienced success when I consciously work at it, but it's constant work. It doesn't just come normally to me. Yeah,
Yes, and kids more than anything can open that heart
yeah,
space and open those
yeah,
feelings up.
yeah. Because they're
And
so
it sounds
honest
like
and
your wife too is very good role model for you.
yeah, and our family, it's just how we sort of behave and operate. And for me, I think it's more of an effort, more of a designed effort, but
Yes.
it's really created some breakthroughs for me. Just as simple as just getting in touch with your inner feelings and really examining where do I fall? What do I think about this particular topic or whatever it might be? And um, yeah, it leads me to good places, productive places, happy places.
Ah,
So it's something that I wish I would have sort of learned and mastered earlier in my life, but better late than never. So I'm working on it.
absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely. And I love the way you put happy and productive together.
yeah,
So it sounds like you're learning to uh, be both productive and in your feelings, in your heart at the same time.
yeah. That's where I feel like I'm at my best. When that comes together. And it's not a forceful exercise necessarily. It's just have to remember and have to incorporate, I guess, patterns and rituals and habits of finding some quiet time to just think and to just get in touch with my feelings. How am I feeling about something? How do I want to react? How do I want to put myself out there? Because if you don't stop and examine that, at least for me, I just kind of run on autopilot,
Right.
and I miss a lot.
Yes, those habitual patterns just go on autopilot, and
Right.
and you're just moving along, getting things done, and a pause, a stop, or a
Yeah.
practice of taking time for yourself is really important
Yeah. Yeah.
to let
That's right.
those feelings surface.
That's right. And some of it could be, just in management and leadership, giving feedback to an employee, rather than just you got to think about it. You want to be thoughtful,
Hmm.
you want to be constructive with your thoughts. And so for me, I really kind of have to stop and meditate on that for a while and really map out my feelings, name them, label them, articulate them. And that to me is an effort, but it's a good effort. It's positive. It's
Yes,
positive. I
very
just always remember
positive.
to stop and do that.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you brought up the workplace, your team members and people that you're working with, how you interact with them. Have you seen a change over the years since you've learned to stop, get in touch with your feelings before you interact or give
Oh,
feedback?
absolutely. Yeah, like for leadership context for the people that I work with, colleagues, peers. Yeah, I'm able to give more thoughtful and more valuable feedback and perspectives and insights and sharing ideas. I tend to be more introverted.
Mhm.
I can be pretty quiet and pretty withdrawn, and I'm comfortable in that place. But that doesn't always come across real well in a professional setting. So I have to remind myself, get out there, put your feelings out there, but first
Yes.
examine how you're feeling, and then put some constructive thought to it and articulate it, express it. I'm not
Yes.
naturally an expressive person, and so I think what I've seen is over the years as I've developed this ability and strengthened it, I feel more people are attracted to me. People want to work for me. People
Absolutely.
seek
Yes.
me out for my ideas and opinions, and good things happen. It's
Yes.
all good things happen. So
Yes.
I constantly have to be aware of my sort of propensity to sort of withdraw and be quiet and be very internal. Um, but I have to remember, that I'm part of a team and that team expects and needs and respects my input, my ideas. And so it doesn't always come naturally, or it's not always my first default to express. Uh,
Yes.
I
Yes.
try to remain
And
balanced.
and the three is the assertive type. So when it's needed, you can do it.
Yes, yes. Although I know, and this is switching a bit, but I know that one of the most powerful qualities a leader can have, or anybody could have in business, is to be a good listener. And so it's not to me all about exerting or expressing or asserting myself. It's a balance, right? I have to
Absolutely.
have an
Absolutely.
opinion. I want to state the opinion. I want to let people know how I feel, whatever that might be. But I also have to be an active listener in order to receive what's coming in at me. And so that's part of
And
it.
learning that dance, that balance of
Yeah.
asserting and uh, being out there
Yeah.
and then letting other people share. And the three is really good at helping other people to shine, which is, I think, what you're touching on now, and being able to listen, let them have the floor, uh, really helping them to bring out their best.
Yeah. And that's an important point that I think I've learned and grown over the years. And it's one of the most satisfying parts of my job and my career right now is helping others to learn and grow and watching that happen. It's so satisfying to me. Um, Whereas, years ago when I was much younger in my professional career, it was all about my own personal achievement and what can I do, what can I achieve, what can I put my name on. But that's not necessarily the path to leadership, right? You have to grow and cultivate others.
Yes,
You have to
the
disseminate your
growth,
knowledge
and
and train
you're
other people and let them fly and let them sing. So
yes,
you
and you're
get a lot
talking
out of that.
to that beautifully.
Yeah.
And I think that goes hand in hand, Tony, when you went on your inner journey and turned within for inner validation, then you're not having to have the spotlight all the time,
Yep.
and you uh, do naturally then turn to others and give to others more
Right.
naturally.
Right.
And
So that it's a
that's beautiful.
balanced exchange, so that it's a healthy exchange. And
Yes.
it can ebb and flow in either direction. But the higher I get in leadership, the more I really want to grow a team. I want to grow junior people. I want to let them learn and succeed. And so, yeah, it's really enjoyable. I like that. And it's part of my practice. It's part of my focus as a leader, as a manager, is to not just focus on how I'm feeling. I spent some time talking about that, but also how's the other person feeling?
Yes.
And what can I do to help them succeed? It's a very active process, but it's not necessarily about me. It's about the person that I'm helping or coaching or talking to.
Yes, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, you've talked about so much, and your growth trajectory has been beautiful. What's your growth edge now?
Growth edge now. I think when I'm at my best, it's when I'm, a little bit on that assertive edge. And in order to get there, in order to achieve that, in order to sort of get into the flow, that energetic flow where I'm at my best, I require inputs. I have to constantly be reading, um, listening to opinions, even listening to music, other external things, exercising, getting outside, basics, getting good sleep and nutrition. Those are sort of core fundamental basics of how we operate. But it's really essential to me, to have all of those things firing and to have all of those things in balance and operating in a forward direction. That's when I'm at my best. So I think that's my growth edge is, uh, getting back to basics, remembering to breathe, remembering to eat well, remembering to sleep.
Yes,
It sounds trite,
yes.
it sounds so basic, but in the world we live in the busy sort of rat race we're in here in this country, it's easy to forget. It's easy to
It
put
is
yourself
easy to forget. And
on the back burner.
and that is the best way to have mind, body, heart
Yeah,
online and being fully present is by that self-care, taking time for yourself and eating right, resting right, getting the exercise that
right.
you need. And that's a beautiful balance
Getting
to.
the variety and the diversity of inputs and information. We've talked about social media just makes you sad. Like you can't fall into those patterns where you're just absorbing or consuming information from a very small number of sources. For me, I I work in healthcare and in biotech, as you mentioned earlier, and I like all things about healthcare and biotech. I like everything. So I'm constantly learning and reading about different areas, different domains, technical, non-technical, and professionally. That's what keeps me excited. That's what keeps my edge sharp. Is when I have a diversity of inputs.
Yes, and that's made you a real thought leader. People come to you as a subject matter expert, and you can talk about a variety of things, not only from your experience, direct experience, but all the reading and research and study that you do.
Yeah, and being able to connect it all together and synthesize it and make sense of it all because it's so
Yes,
massive and so diverse, and there's so many different aspects to healthcare. Um,
yes, yes.
yeah,
And then to be able to present that in a way that people can understand and be interested in. So that I think is a
yeah,
real talent of the three is not only self-presentation, but adjusting to the crowd that you're with.
right.
Sometimes threes are called the chameleons. And on the gift side of that is this ability to adjust to the audience and present in a way that they can understand.
Yeah, yeah. That's one of my strengths. I think is the ability to communicate with different audiences and different people from different domains, whether they're scientists or doctors or marketers or non-technical people. In any facet of the industry, I feel like I can navigate and have conversations and communicate effectively with anyone. The downside of that potentially is that I lose my own anchor. I lose my own focus. Like, so that's when I have to bring it back and get in touch with my feelings again and really understand, okay, what's
Yes,
my point of view on this? And can I defend
yes,
that?
and
And
I
is
think
it
what you're
yeah,
speaking to is that uh, tendency of the three to create an image that they think people want to see, and then in the process you lose who you are.
sometimes. Yeah. it's
So
possible.
continually going back to that heart space and into recognizing
Yeah,
your own inner value for who you are, not just
right,
what you produce.
right, right. So it's a constant effort. I think I mentioned earlier, it's a lot of it is habits and routine and scheduling and making a practice of these things. Because if I just let myself go without thinking or concentrating on these things, I'll go to my default, and it's kind of a mixture of good and bad, But to really optimize it, to really be on my edge, I have to work at this. I have to bring this all together, self-care,
Yes,
variety of inputs, really contemplating and thinking, okay, what do I think about this?
right,
Right.
right,
So
right.
all of
Not
that really helps supplement and augment how I communicate with others. And
and it shows, Tony, it shows in all the respect that you have and your position and just the care that you take with your team, and um, you're just an excellent leader, and
thank
it's
you. It's nice to
beautiful to
hear. I
watch.
work at it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being so open with us and with me. And it's just always a pleasure to be with you,
Welcome, S.
Tony.
Marie. Thanks for the conversation. It's wonderful. It's always great to talk to you.
Great to talk to you. Thank you so much.